spread out here. I'm going to find as many missing survivors as I can.
I'll head in the direction of the Vulgus forces.
Affirmative. I will guide the Descendant through the operation going forward. Much like the forces stationed at the heart of their operations, the numbers of their troops here are sizable. The first goal of our operation is to annihilate the Order of Truth. I will also relay Commander Alpha's orders. His instructions are, and I quote, "Find a way to destroy this goddamn gruesome place." Harris should be able to find a way to destroy the facility.
Yo, Descendant. Smash all the stabilizers you see. Do that, and the overloaded energy will blow the entire facility to Kingdom Come.
Harris's prediction is accurate. The energy readings within the zone are rising. I believe destroying 2 more control units will bring the facility's operations to a halt.
You little...
Looks like you have infiltrated deep inside the enemy's area. I'd like to ask you for a favor. We're picking up faint communication signals coming from the central area underground. You should be able to amplify the signal when you're there. I'll adjust the frequency in order to amplify the signal. Please safeguard that position. Signal's been amplified. Gosh, communications are impossible here.
This is Eckert. There is a way. If you go deeper in, communications can be relayed through your receive.
We have to hurry, Descendant. Temperature inside the facility is rising.
Connecting to the comms channel, but we're getting too much interference from something noisy nearby. Some kind of energy from the Vulgus is interfering with our comms.
Wait!
We picked up a strong signal. It looks like this is what's jamming communications.
All interference is now being cleared. Initiating broadcast of communications through the Descendant's receive.
If it's new research, I'm listening.
The most important things on the battlefield.
What's up, space pirates? This is your captain, the chronically charismatic Dr. Disaster. And it looks like it's damage control time for the people at Bio. Sure, all of the corporate media shills out there are trying to make it sound as though Dragon Age the Veilguard is doing really, really well. But their words mean virtually nothing to most of us in the gaming community.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Exhibit A.
But you know what is meaningful? When we hear confirmation right out of the horse's mouth that things are not going well for BioWare with Dragon Age the Veilguard. This guy right here is the project director / executive producer for the next Mass Effect game that is slated to come out sometime in the next few years, and this dude just said something on Twitter that is very telling. He's trying like hell to distance his project with the absolute dumpster fire that is Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Wait a minute, you gotta understand, man. I never even saw these assholes before.
I mean, you can't blame the dude for trying, but I don't think it's gonna work at all. BioWare now has a track record of being awful and making games for the audience. Look at their last few titles: Mass Effect Andromeda, Anthem, and now Dragon Age the Veilguard. I don't think gamers are likely to forget the shitstorm that BioWare has rained down on all of us anytime soon. In fact, I'm pretty sure that moving forward, whenever these jackasses announce new games, the typical response from an average gamer will be to assume that the forecast calls for complete and absolute shit.
Hey everybody, there's a shit cloud coming! Run for your lives!
channel if you haven't done so already, and also, don't forget to follow me over on Twitter or X, or whatever you want to refer to it as these days. I keep a list on there of games lousy with wokeness pinned to the account at all times for your reference. My handle over there is Dr. Disaster 1. But alright, let's talk about what this guy from BioWare said about Dragon Age the Veilguard, how his game isn't gonna be anything like it. The first and most important thing to note about this tweet, before we look at it, is the fact that the dude felt compelled to say this in the first place. He tries to distance his project from the Veilguard, and he tries to do it for a reason. Think about this. If the game was actually popular, like all the mainstream media is trying to claim, that this guy would be attempting to ensure that you knew that his game was going to be just like yours. Instead, he's going on to let everyone know that the new Mass Effect won't be like Dragon Age the Veilguard. This is what he said. Lots of people asking me about Mass Effect now that Veilguard reviews are out and October 31st is close. Both are from the studio, but Mass Effect is Mass Effect. How you bring a sci-fi RPG to life is different than other genres or IPs, and has to have different kinds of love. Once again, as I said, this is him attempting to distance his project from Dragon Age, and he wouldn't do that if the internal numbers at BioWare were any good. But check this out. He responded to his own tweet about 6 hours later to me. This reads like somebody higher up than him at the company had some words with the dude and told him to fix what he said because people were drawing the obvious conclusion. He wrote, regarding tone questions, Mass
That's an
Effect
intriguing
will
code,
maintain
but
the
still a
mature
piece of
tone
cake.
the original trilogy. This is all I'm gonna say for now. And that right there should be the dagger in the heart for anyone who wants to try and pretend like the tone in the Veilguard isn't a major problem. So many of us have been talking about this as an issue ever since the very first trailer came out for this game back in the summer. You might remember that the trailer had that cover of the David Bowie song Heroes, and it introduced all the characters in the story like it was going to be a heist movie or something, and everybody mocked the game, calling it a Fortnite heist movie, because the graphics and tone made it look like Fortnite. They fixed the tone in the subsequent trailers. We have been warning people in these spaces that the darker tone in the trailers that came afterwards, those trailers were just a cover so that people would be tricked into buying this game. Obviously, the true feel of the game wasn't going to be dark and gritty like the original Dragon Age titles. We said that it looked as though the game was going to be cartoonish and silly, with MCU levels of humor. And it seems like we were right. This guy that is working on the Mass Effect game might as well have come right out and said exactly that. He's trying to distance his project because the sales numbers are clearly disappointing for BioWare, and because the reviews aren't favorable once you look outside the mainstream media bubble. Look at this here. This is a screenshot from a guy yesterday on Steam who has had the chance to play the game, and this is just a taste of what he wrote. We're going to read this second paragraph here, where it says, anyway, the point is the game is woke as F. Now, that's all well and good, but it gets a lot worse because regardless of political and ideological agendas, if we're looking at this game from a purely mechanical perspective, it still reads. I can't give you an example of a single mechanic that I enjoyed. The crafting is laughable. Itemization is horrible. Character builds and progression are meaningless, and the combat is the worst offender. It's beyond simplistic, with every class and subclass feeling largely the same. The enemies all feel the same too, and the only difficulty the game provides stems from enemies having an absurd amount of health, making a lot of fights a real slog. New enemies appear out of nowhere, attacking you. You may think you're up against 3 Darkstar, but nah, have fun grinding down these 6 waves of teleporting see you next Tuesdays that will never kill you, but take 10 minutes to finish off. I mean, geez, that sounds cartoonish, amateurish, and awful. Maybe if they spent less time worrying about all the activistic shit that they injected into the game, maybe they could have made something that wasn't so absolutely atrocious in the eyes of most gamers. Look at this puzzle that they added into the game.
Oh, what a loser!
Wow, what a real head scratcher there, huh?
Codes of
I
this
wonder
level
how
are
that
child's
gamer
play.
never figured that one out. But that's just the thing. Everything from this game, from the graphics and art style to the character design, it just feels childish and weak and just off. No wonder Mass Effect is trying like hell to distance itself from Dragon Age, but I just don't see it working for me. Anyhow, I'm gonna leave it there. Drop your mockery of Mass Effect and BioWare as they try to do damage control for the Veilguard. Drop that mockery into the comment section below, and we will talk then. Thanks for watching me, artists. If you haven't already, your captain is inviting you to subscribe.
Elon Musk just sat down with Tucker Carlson for about 2 hours, about 2 hours. He also recently spoke at the Trump rally off the cuff. On both occasions, he said that if Republicans do not get out and vote for Donald Trump, this will be the last election.
Where do photons come from? I'm curious why we say the universe exploded in the Big Bang. Why black holes can't just be dark matter. Why when a star goes supernova, space still bent for a black hole, gravitational waves, the fabric of space. Did you get all of that?
Wow! Whoa! That's somebody that has Red Bull that morning. This Star Talk. Neil deGrasse Tyson here, your personal astrophysicist. We're doing cosmic queries today. Grab bag. And I looked to my left. Chuck, what did you do?
We look a little different.
But
Harrison
still a
Greenbaum,
piece of
welcome
cake.
back to Star Talk.
Yes, it's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, last time it was BC. Before COVID.
That's
When
right.
you last
That's right.
made an appearance.
We had a whole pandemic in between.
A whole pandemic
No.
in between. And also you had like a Las Vegas residency.
Yeah, I went across the country and back at that time.
And back. So just congratulations on where your talents have taken you.
Thank you.
And now
Thank you.
you're right here in my office at the American Museum of Natural History.
As much going on here as the circus, I will say.
No, well, the universe is a circus unto itself.
Absolutely.
And it's many more than 3. Yes. Saturn's got rings. Multiple ring circus in the cosmos. So, this is a grab bag. And
Fantastic.
you got the questions. I haven't seen them. And because it's a grab bag, it's a grab bag without an expert in it right now. So, I'm your expert.
Fantastic.
I'll do my best. If I don't know an answer, I'll just say I don't know.
Okay.
You have to
We have Siri. We have tools at our disposal. Yeah.
The ways to bail me out is what you're saying? Okay. All right.
We don't know. It might be no.
Okay. All right. So what do you have first?
All right, so we have Lena McGrath. She writes, "Hello, Neil. I'm Lena from Orlando. Where do photons come from? For instance, are they already inside my birthday candles, or are they created from the fire? Does not specify what birthday she is on.
Does not.
Does not.
But the fact that she still uses candles.
Yeah.
What age would you say you stopped using candles?
Once the cake is too full.
Yeah, I think I stopped at 30.
Oh wow, that's longer than I lasted.
I made it. All right.
I think after high school I was candle free.
So it's a great question. It's reminiscent of a famous essay from the 19th century written by Michael Faraday. What is it?
It's an emoji I use too often.
Oh, okay, I've seen the emoji. Can you touch it? Can you grab it? What is it? So it's a famous essay from the 19th century. So a photon is a packet of energy, of pure energy, and it moves at the speed of light.
Toys of this level are
It's the only
child's
thing it
play.
knows how to do. And so, if, by the way, energy can manifest in many different ways. Okay? You can have potential energy. Now, why is it that you can harm yourself by jumping out of a window? Okay? There's a reason for it. Because when you hit the ground, energy killed you.
I thought it was the sidewalk.
Okay, you had energy in your body.
Yeah.
While you were falling.
One Red Bull right before the
Right,
show.
right, and that, oh, yes, and the energy kept accumulating as you fell faster and faster.
Right.
Then you hit the sidewalk. All the energy that was in you from your motion, kinetic energy, goes back into you as mechanical energy. The only way your body can accommodate mechanical energy is to break stuff. Because it takes energy to break your bones.
Sure.
Energy can manifest in different ways. And the higher you take the elevator before you jump out the window, the more energy you have to break your bones upon hitting the sidewalk. That's why jumps from higher altitude do more damage than from lower altitude.
But if you're watching this and thinking about it, don't do it.
Do not try this at home.
Don't do it.
Now, above a certain height, there's an air resistance. You get what's called terminal velocity, where the air is absorbing away some of that
And I am
energy.
about to terminate. You need to be terminated.
Terminal velocity to be terminated. So, there are other ways that energy can be stored, like inside of an atom. An electron can sit in many different energy levels. The atom has energy levels within it, not a continuous placement of energies. If there's an electron at a higher energy level, if something happens to make it drop to a lower energy level, it just lost energy. Where did it go? Actually, it can go in one of two places. If another atom hits it, some of the energy of that electron can go to the kinetic energy of the other atom as it careens off. Well, this happens a lot. So it's a kinetic energy. A flyby looting of its energy. All right. So, but occasionally it just sort of jostles it. The electron de-excites, goes to a lower energy level. Where does that energy go? Bada bing. A photon is released from the atom of exactly the same energy as the difference between the energy levels of the electron. All the energy is and the photon goes in a random direction at the speed of light. That's where photons come from. They come from ways that used to be energy in an atom or something, or the vibrations of atoms and molecules and other particles, and in those vibrations, it can lose energy by releasing a photon. And that's what's going on. And it happens in all kinds of ways. If you have an electric stove and you turn it on, and eventually it glows.
You know, it's like blue, orange, with different
I
colors.
hope your stove doesn't glow.
You can tell, by the way, how much I cook by my inability to answer this question.
You have no idea.
I'm like,
what
is it
stove
blue?
is. No idea what. But in the kitchen, you're completely wrong.
Okay.
So the hottest your stove is going to get is red hot.
Gotcha.
But if you fit a knob, it will go.
The Magisters have
white
set
hot.
codes that are
eventually
too
blue
easy.
hot.
Doesn't mean my band name. If I ever form a band, Infinite Knob. Well, that's Spanish.
One of them, pick one. I'll come see you.
Okay, great.
So the fact that the stove is glowing red means it's emitting light. Red light. So you have vibrating particles in the heating element of the stove, and those vibrations will actually release light. And that, in a way, is cooling the stove, except to keep all the energy. But if you turn off the stove, it's still glowing red, but then it sort of fades away. Why? Because it's giving up all its energy without it being replaced. And if it's hot but not glowing red, it's still giving off photons, but not red photons. If it's hot,
Don't touch it.
still don't touch it until it's cool. So it would actually, if you put on infrared goggles, it would be glowing and it's still a form of light. Infrared photons. So all these ways will generate photons, and stars are doing it every moment. Photons are crisscrossing through the universe. Continue that way.
So what did that do with birthday cakes?
Oh, very good. Thank you for bringing it back. back on point.
I feel like Lena's at home right now. She's celebrating her birthday. The candle's already melted down. It's ruined the cake.
It's like, Neo, here's the answer. So, you have to give energy to the candle from somewhere else. A lighter or a match, right? There's no free lunch here, right? The energy's got to... So what that will...
Free cake.
You will light the
wick.
You will light the wick of the candle, which is typically coated in wax. The candles are made of wax. So you ignite the wick that will use molten wax as a fuel source. There you have it. Now, why does the whole candle burn up in one instant? Because the wick is drawing the molten wax in. And if you have too much of the wax, it'll put out the flame. You need just the right amount to feed it. Keep it going. And candles are... If the candle gets sort of... If you try this, that's candles. You have like a 3-inch candle, let's say, that's got liquid there. If you sort of tap it, you say, well, why is that if it's using the wick to light? Have you ever questioned this?
I have a couple of scented candles. I wasn't installing my apartment burning down.
Why does the liquid wax put out the wick when we need the liquid wax to burn? Because it's too much at a given time. Too much. So, it draws it just the right amount. And it can burn the drops that come in. That you need. So, the starter energy comes from the match or from a lighter, and you hit the wick. Now the wick simply burns the wax. And wax is one of the great things that kept us lit centuries. Wax candles, 17th, 18th centuries. We didn't have light bulbs, so candles was a thing. Wax candle. Wax is a food source. By the way, if you get wax hot enough, where it goes molten, you just keep heating it, it can burn without a wick.
What?
So this happened to me at home. I ignited the entire surface of the wax in a pot.
I thought you told the police it was an accident.
No, I used to make candles, okay?
I'm just trying to picture this birthday party.
Okay, I used to make candles. So you melt the candles and you can dip. You dip a wick in so that it gets wet with wet wax. You put it in the air, room temperature air will cool the wax, and then it's a skinny candle. You dip it again, and it keeps building layers and layers until it's the thickness you want. Okay, that's one way to make it. As you make a dip candle. Normally, you just pour it into a mold. Okay, so I melted this pot. I had all these candle shards, right? And you put them all in there. You pull out the dead wicks, and now I have liquid candle wax. And I left it on the stove too long. It ignited. You can't put water on it.
No.
It's hot, boiling water. So if you put water in there, the water will be heated, start to boil, and then it'll boil fragments of flaming wax out of the. So there's only one way to put out that fire.
Throw it out the window. No, but it's potential energy.
Yeah, now you're going to give it extra potential energy, or kinetic energy. So, no, you got to take a lid and cover it, and that'll smother it.
Well, that's a less exciting answer
It's
than
totally less exciting, but I knew
It's
enough.
suffocating.
I knew enough about, you suffocate it. I knew enough about thermodynamics, and that's how you do that. So, the candle doesn't all burn at once, because it can only burn a little bit at a time, and it burns its way down. And there you have it.
Nice. Well, happy birthday, Lena.
Yes,
assume.
however old you are. Hey, Star Talk fans. I don't know if you know this, but the audio version of the podcast actually posts a week in advance video. Get that. It's a lot of fun. Apple Podcasts and most other podcasts outlets. Multiple ways. It's possible. Oh, by the way, these are all our Patreon supporters. They pay.
Amazing.
So you get to ask questions as a Patreon supporter at our entry level amount, which is like $5 a month. Go for it.
All right, so we have Alan Rayer. He wrote, "Hello, everyone." Waving emoji, cowboy emoji. It's Alan from Lithuania. A lot of cowboys there. Always wondered about gravitational waves. Please explain how and what did they actually detect in 2015?
Oh, very nice. Yeah, so that's the first detection of gravitational waves was them.
Nice.
Interestingly, it was the centennial, the near centennial. I think prediction came out in 1916. But basically the centennial of Einstein's prediction that such a thing even exists. So it took a century to verify that what he predicted was correct. And just to put that in context. All right, so the way this works is, according to Einstein's general theory of relativity, where you're...
Exactly, sticking this world's worst head out just to prove how smart you are.
The stories, I thought you were thuggish.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to the pop culture wars, the critics and the spears and the knives are coming out of both sides.
This is gonna end right here, right now. Let's dance, Dickweed.
I would consider myself the outlier. What do you mean, Jace? Because having grown up in the 70s and 80s, two pivotal decades that shaped the way pop culture will be forever, I'm the guy who is like that nerdy kid in the gym class in primary school who gets left behind when all the other favorite teams have been picked out. So I would be the guy who would sniffle back home, read a Spider-Man comic, and when my parents weren't looking, would pull out the Janet Fraser catalogue and linger hard at the lovely models in their underwear.
Oh, honey, these toys are for boys.
Which probably explain how I've turned out, and I have no complaints whatsoever. So when my colleagues all dropped their reviews yesterday, and when I say colleagues, I don't know these people of the Dragon Age Veilguard, or DAV as we like to call it. I mean, they've got record views. I don't expect this video to get record views like the one I dropped last night, which was incredible actually, all about the Forspoken game we should have gotten. So thank you very much to one and all who came to that video and left so many comments, all which I will respond to in the next few days. But today, folks, Dragon Age, the Veilguard, the reviews, the embargo was lifted yesterday, and all I can say is BioWare are not happy with the response.
Yes, Hallelujah, it's the fusion. And now, the BBC calls Washington King on Ghost Dog.
So here we are, folks, at Metacritic, the barometer, the measuring point, the Sylvia Plath jar of absolute positivity. Well, here we go. What do the score reviews say? So from the lowest to the highest, because the lowest, folks, are the more interesting ones. CD Action gave it a 60. Digital Trends, a 70. CD Action's remarks are quite funny, because Veilguard leaves us with the impression we bought the wrong title. Does that mean a refund is on the way? You never know. And of course, you know how this works, folks. From the highest to the lowest, Eurogamer, Germany, in the fatherland, gave it a 100 out of 100. Of course they would. And of course, Chad, missing from that name, at 93, 90, Northern so 85.
Oh my god, I don't know what this guy's doing.
Actually, this is the thing, right? This was originally Shrek Wolf. It was kind of a badass title. In some this from the previous Dad games, it was meant to be quite a public character. In this one, exactly not. So all those rules that playtester discussed with the channel, it makes a bit more of a slightly character when it's meant to, and Mark's actually correct.
Like Solus.
Yes.
Like Solus, he is like, you know, like their gods. He is that Red Wolf. They make him so, you know, like, put him on the side. He don't, you know, like...
Doesn't do anything?
No, he basically in the fate, and basically we will talk to him every now and then, and that's it.
But of course, folks, you know why you came here, right? And we got to get into this. So, I left this on my tablet yesterday because I wanted to make sure I didn't miss out on anything. But Pirate Nation, he's actually said now that if you give a bad review for Dav, that BioWare will come out and strike you or your channel or whatever it is that you have on social media. So I don't really care at this stage, but from God Empress of Mankind, BioWare is dead. And now look at the screenshot. Looks innocent at first. Rook, take a long, hard look at it, kid, which sounds already dubious. It'll only show the face of a hero who can get it done. Below that, establishes transgender identity and unlocks new dialogue options in future conversations. The LGBT community, right? This is the thing that they always bugs me about their virtue signaling about these games when they're not represented or included. I mean, would they identify with the characters of Mass Effect who are Hinari, who are Tyrion, who are Sari? Or are they too alien for them? Do you know what I mean? I'm going to come back to that in a minute because it's like, it's the most ridiculous thing I've actually heard. Dragon Age, the Pride God. I love it. That's really funny. You know what? If they released that version, I think people would have bought that en masse because it absolutely leans into the meme, right? So that I would have actually thought would have been very funny. But yeah, this one, look, now this is what the old school version.
So, you beautiful bastards! Welcome back to Philip Franco showing you daily dive into the news. We have a lot of big news to talk about today, starting with how Louisiana cops killed a man, covered it up, now they're walking free, barely getting a slap on the wrist for one of the